Springs, where the wrestling truth resides.
Let's transition to we have a guest for tonight. So
we do. It
let's
was
let's
last
hit,
minute, but we do have a guest.
yes, a wanted guest for a while. Let's hit that stinger.
I think this is fake. You think it's fake? What's that? Is
Interview questions with Levi Spade.
you think it's fake? You come easy. Huh? What do you mean?
I love he started laughing when he saw that.
I'll never be sick of it. All right.
Anyway.
Well, joining us, welcome to Interview Questions, Levi Spade. And this week, it was a little last minute, but we're lucky to have him on. Joining us this week is Air Force veteran, Intel Specialist, the one you call when you want to get the job done, and your friendly neighborhood, Red Dawg.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, bud.
Hey, legit microphone. You got like a nice studio microphone and everything. You're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I
not watching.
I kind of get it, right? Because when you have your own podcast, like you gotta keep things looking nice. So I understand the same thing. So I'm like, we gotta make it look good.
Yeah, this is still temporary. My office is not built yet, so we're still sitting on the couch.
Nice.
Oh, you have an actual office? I just figured you just had a couch.
No, I will have an actual office if I ever get around to actually putting it together.
Well, welcome, Red Dawg. So these are kind of our interview segments. We try and keep them to 35 to 40 minutes. Tend to end up going about an hour, give or take, because we end up just getting caught up shooting the shit. But I always tell people that if you end up needing to go for any reason, just, say something and we'll see you out. But we always start these with introduce yourself. We all know each other. I was on the 3 Count Pod. But anything that I didn't involve, I mean, I kind of just took your little blurb that you gave me and said it. So let people know who you are.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll start with my shoot name because it seems to throw everybody off. My name is Clifford Miller, aka Red Dawg. Yes, and yes, Clifford the Big Red Dog. Some funness, I guess we'll talk about it. Born in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I was a military brat, kind of traveled around. And then I got into the Air Force myself, traveled around. And then, I moved from when I got out the military, I moved around some more, and I found a home in Maryland for about 8 years. And then I recently had moved up to the Northeast. And that's where I ran into all 3 of you fine young gentlemen. We're all met in Maine. So it's kind of just like my story, I guess, really. I mean, more or less, I'm more of an open book. I like to answer questions and stuff like that, have fun with conversations. Right now, I'm a personal trainer in this place called Foxborough, home of the Patriots. Yeah, except for me, I'm not a big Patriot fan. I'll be 100%. It's one of those things. I live in Foxborough. I'm like 6 minutes from the stadium, and everybody's like, "Yo, are you a Patriots fan?" I'm like, "Bro, I have a Bronco tattooed right here. Like, I have no time for this wasteness."
Oh man. Last season was rough for us, but it had to been rough for you too.
You know what was even worse is on Christmas Eve, sitting with my wife as she's in her Patriots hoodie and I'm in my Broncos hoodie, and we're watching the game, and Denver throws that game at the end.
Yeah,
I was like, I could not be more disappointed in my team than I am right now. Because for you guys, right? You're like, well, it's Bills last season. We don't really have a Mac Jones isn't that dude, right?
Yeah.
We had Russ. We had Russell Wilson, and they were like, throw him away. I'm like, what? No, he's still a Super Bowl MVP quarterback. Like, what do you mean? Just throw him away.
Russ unfortunately needed an O-line, and Denver didn't have an O-line.
No.
Without an O-line, Russ is dead, and he was running for his life.
That's true, but the other part of it is Russ is such a team player that if the coach was like, "No, stay in the pocket," he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna stay in the pocket," and then you're like, "No, that's not what Russ does. Russ runs. Run."
So I know we got off tangent on football here a little bit, guys. So
that's fine. Yo, it's funny.
That's me.
We did the 3 Count Pod, and I know that we talked a lot about moving around and wrestling and stuff, but I don't think you ever actually told me that you were born in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you said that, and I was like, wait I was like, what?
Hold on, that's
Well,
that
like-
way.
Yeah,
when
like, that's
when
that way.
When we were talking, and you had mentioned that you had moved out west, I was like, oh snaps! And then like I started following like where you were going and stuff like that, and I was like, oh well, you could talk to Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling, you can do all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of like knew a little bit about the area. But yeah, I'm a Colorado kid. That's where I was born. And my dad actually had lived out in Fort Morgan for a little bit, so kind of like familiar with the area, and it's a lot of fun. I love being up in the mountains, but then like I live here out in New England, and the Appalachian Mountains are way on the other side right now from where I'm at. So I'm like, it's kind of a travel.
We don't talk about the Appalachian Mountains.
Why don't we talk about the mountains?
You know there's fossils in the
Cat,
Appalachian Mountains that are
the mountain
older.
name. Say the mountain name, Cat.
Appalachian.
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 Why
might-
don't you
Alright.
talk about the mountain?
It's all right. I brought Levi through Massachusetts once. I kept pointing at signs. Go say the town name.
I apologize. I might still have a concussion from last week. Anyways, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I have never been more disappointed in coming to Massachusetts and learning that I'm saying names wrong for towns, and then making the joke with my wife that, like, listen, like, everything in Massachusetts, if it ends in ER, AR, IR, OR, UR, it's all pronounced AH.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
all of it.
Banger.
My favorite one is still Peabody because it
Peabody.
says Peabody, but it's Peabody.
It's Peabody.
Peabody.
And like if you go through and you're like, oh look, Gloucester, and there was like, no, it's Gloucester. I'm like, what?
Like
What's
they're,
What's the difference?
Worcester, which is Worcester.
Worcester. Yeah.
What's
I was just gonna say, I'm like, I know somebody pronounces it weird, but I can't remember how they pronounce Worcester.
What's
I'm like, with the
What's that kid? I can hear Alec Price in my head right now.
It's McCarthy or Price anytime we
Yeah,
talk about
yeah.
the accents.
I always think of that scene with Colin Farrell and Al Pacino when he pronounces it, he's like, yeah, there's a town in Worcester, and my wife just dropping her head and like shaking it. Like, this is the worst pronunciation I've ever heard in my life.
God.
So,
Oh, man.
age-old question when it comes to wrestling podcasts, but it's always the one that I like to open with. What got you into wrestling, and when did you start both like being a fan, and when did you actually start training and debut?
So as far as like being a fan, it was my aunt that got me into it. I remember like it was like a Saturday morning, bro. I'll never forget this, and this will also date myself, and I'm sure Dylan can relate to this. My Saturday morning, I was sitting in front of the TV. My aunt was like, "Hey, we need to check this out." And there's a Macho Man calling out Jake the Snake Roberts, and he gets thrown into some ropes, and a giant ass cobra is biting Macho Man. That's how I got introduced to pro wrestling, and I was like, "Is it always like this?" And she's like, "No, it's not."
I legit am not kidding. That's like one of my first wrestling memories too. It's the first one that's stuck in my brain.
I'll never forget. I was in the living room in Fleming, Colorado. That's how I know exactly where I was when that moment happened.
Nice.
And then I got out of touch. I got out of touch with wrestling because I didn't know what it was and I couldn't find it. And then randomly, I was living in Nebraska and I just happened to turn on TBS and saw Saturday Main Event. And there's this kid coming out with this long ponytail, like pulled up top and pulled back, and they were calling him the Lionheart. And I was like, oh, that's a cool name. And then turns out, Chris Jericho ends up being like one of my other favorite wrestlers. And then like a few months later, I happened to see it again, and Tony Schiavone was like, come check us out Monday night on TNT live. And I was like, cool. And I see this dude in all pink wrestling this dude with some shorts that say 1,000 on the back. And I was like, who's this dude in pink? And lo and behold, like Rey Mysterio would then become my favorite wrestler of all time. And so I just like proceeded to watch him do the whole thing.
So I found out later. The Cobra actually bit Randy Savage. The Cobra was devenomized, but it actually bit Savage. Jake couldn't get it to let go. Like
I love the stories behind that spot more than I love the spot itself.
Yeah.
Like the story, hearing Jake tell the story backstage where like Macho goes up to him, he's like, "You sure the snake is safe, right?" And Jake's like, "Yeah, it's defense. Like we're good." And Macho's like, then let it bite you before I
Yeah.
let it bite me. And Jake, like, fuck no. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then the snake bites him because Jake pissed it off before he went out there with it, and he couldn't get it to let go of Macho's arm.
I think one of my favorite parts though is that and it's funny because we got to watch like the uncensored version, but the version I watched of it, right, had a big old X logo through the
Oh
middle.
yeah. When they showed the replays, it was like meh, meh.
Every time the snake bit Macho Man, it would put a big X on there. And you can see the blood trail still like dripping down Macho's arm, but it was just a big X coming in the center. So it's so funny to see that happen. But yeah. So I fell in love with Rey Mysterio, and then just from there I became a fan. And then I started training. Actually, what's funny is I started training in 2020. Big time gap. I started training in 2020. And I fell in love with training out in Sykesville, Maryland, a part of Riot City Compound. And from there, man, I debuted like 7 months later in a closed taping because it's 2020, so we couldn't really like have shows. And my first opponent was actually Big Trouble Ben Bishop, if you guys know who that is. Ben Krenka used to play for University of I think it was Vermont. I think he used to play.
That's cool.
I forget. But yeah, so now he's kind of like all over the place. But yeah, he was my first match, and then my first in like crowds was Ron Holiday, and then after that, I worked a triple threat match like the next day in Washington D.C. against Ron Holiday and Darius Carter, which was crazy. That was my third pro match ever was with Darius Carter. But yeah, no, it was that's kind of like how I started. And then just from there, I just kind of like started doing my own thing and pushing myself up and moving along.
It's so crazy to think about the fact that like you, Kat, and me all started in 2020. Because my original, like when I originally started training, it was in 2020. I didn't start at the dojo like consistently training until 2021, but I technically started like professional wrestling training in 2020. And it's just crazy to think that all three of us started in wildly different places in 2020 and then ended up crossing paths. It's just another one of those, like, the wrestling world is way smaller than a lot of people think, and it's way bigger than a lot of people think, and it's just the weirdest shit.
Well, like I joke with people all the time where it's like, and I think we talked about it on the show too, like you're always one link away from knowing someone who knows somebody.
Yeah.
And it's like whether they're on WWE or AEW, TNA, New Japan, it doesn't matter. There's somebody that knows somebody. And to me, it's just mind blowing, like how close of a link we are, but yes, how far away we are from like that person, right? So I think
it speaks to the volume of, like, there are bad apples and there are shitty like areas to go, but in the wide scheme of things, wrestling is very much like a close-knit thing. So it's very much like, yeah, well, I know this person, but they know this person who can get me in contact with this person. Like when I came out here, my third training session at the butcher shop out here was it was like the advanced class kind of thing with the trainer that gets you ready for like the WWE tryouts, because he knows somebody who could get you into like the tryouts for WWE. So he was like, have you worked any like live stuff, like security for any WWE shows, anything like that? I was like, no. And he's like, cool, do you want to? And I was like, well, of course. And he's like, cool, so send me your information and your best 3 matches, and as long as I watch him and see something I like, I'll put you in contact with this guy and he'll get you into a tryout. And I was like, what? Because that's not something that like you just have the ability to do. Even at the dojo, it's like, sure, like this guy knows this guy, but it's not something that it's just like, yeah, send me this stuff and I'll probably be able to get you into at least a tryout match. It was one of those like, what the fuck?
Unfortunately, most of his matches had me in it, so yeah.
That was the problem too. Is he was like, yeah, send me some of your shit, and I was like, I have like fucking 2 singles matches that I'm proud of. Like,
well, I think the other part too is that like, I think the benefit of having like a good mentor that knows someone who knows someone can also benefit. I know like I've had I've had the pleasure to be a mentor by a lot of like great people, right? And it's a who's list. I'm not dropping any names because we don't do that, but we do that. Well,
Oh, name drop. We all do that.
but what I love is like, so what's funny, I'll tell you a funny story. So I was in the Air Force, and I knew this dude named Eric, right? We'll call him Sergeant Hernandez. So anyway, Sergeant Hernandez had a friend who was a professional wrestler as well. Well, that professional wrestler ended up being a young woman named Lane Rosario, right? AKA Derby Doll out of Orlando, Florida. What made it crazier was that she was the one that put me in contact with Martin Stone, Danny Burch, if you guys may, from NXT. So Danny and I actually have been talking back and forth. He's actually been the person who like watches my matches, critiques them, tells me what he would have done differently in certain aspects and things like that. And it's very rewarding to have someone like that on my team to like help me. And I think it's important that you have great mentors. And, you know, the one thing that he did for me, which was like, I was super grateful. And he was like, unless you have like a huge following right now, right, you're probably too old for NXT. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. Yes. Like, I was like, yeah, my birthday is next week. I'm turning 39. A lot of people don't realize that, but I'm like, yeah. Like,
really?
Yeah.
You don't look
I would not
39.
have guessed that.
Yeah, I would figured you were my age.
Yeah.
No.
They figured you at least like early 30s. But no, I've heard the exact same thing from a lot of people who've worked with the business closely. There is basically now you have to establish yourself to get noticed by anybody. They don't want to build somebody up from the ground up. They want somebody who already has a presence on social media to sign them. So for me, like personally, like I would like to have like a following, but I will probably never do NXT or fucking AEW or anything like that myself personally. But the indies definitely, I feel like now in 2024, I feel like you can make a living off the indies, just doing shows and shit like that too. So,
well, just look at like everybody who got released like just recently too, right? Everyone from Nick Nemeth, Mustafa Ali, right? Dijak, right? All those guys, they get out and they just instantly get bookings and stuff like that. And sure, they have a following, but then you look at someone like AG, right? Anthony Green, you know, Anthony Gray, you see him just all over the place, going to Japan, working up and down the East Coast, right? I know he was at Limitless here a while ago, and then, you know, he's going to be at Beyond here soon. But that guy, he gets out and he works and he knows how to do things. There's another person, I don't know if you guys ever have talked to him or not, but Robert Martyr out of Florida, like that dude goes crazy. Like he's booked everywhere, right? And he goes to the West Coast, he goes to the East Coast, he goes down south, he's in the Midwest. So, you know, everywhere I look, I just see Robert Martyr booked here, booked there, you know. And so, I mean, it's those guys that get out and hustle and put the money where their mouth is, you know, you see them, they're going to get those opportunities to blow up and explode somewhere else. So, you know, I mean, this business really is what they say. You get what you put into it. So,
oh yeah, I'd love to get more places, but my tag team partner sometimes can't go places.
I'm sorry, I have a family that I have to, you know. Hopefully, actually, that might change pretty soon. Where
wait, you're getting rid of your family?
Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of them. I have a very good life insurance policy. I can get like a couple $100,000, like, and they might just disappear.
Yeah, you realize it's live, right?
Oh shit! No.
Damn. I mean, theoretically, hypothetically.
My oldest son just started school, and we're thinking about putting my youngest into a daycare just for like a social reaction. So my wife's actually debating on seeing if she can find a different position in her company where she works, so that she'll go from having to work weekends to having weekends off.
Oh, all right.
So it'll be a lot easier to find bookings. Then again, I can't do every weekend, you know.
Oh yes, you can.
No,
trust me, I can't either. So
yes,
someone,
I would be the one dead, and she would be the one collecting life insurance if I did that.
If I worked every weekend, hustled every weekend.
But yeah,
no, I understand
that. No, we do got some shows going up.
Not the boys.
we're definitely trying to do a lot of shows. I know Johnny Torres was talking about us. I think we already announced it before that we should try to see if we can get into a Wrestle Open just to stick our head in there.
Let me
I
talk
know
to
you were
about that one
talking about
later.
before.
Yeah.
We talked about before, but I'm just saying, like, guys like Johnny Torres, seeing how good the Wild's doing, so maybe there's an opportunity where we can try to go to other places, maybe a little bit better than around here, to maybe get going somewhere.
Or maybe, we do the one thing where everybody does, you just jump in a car and you just head down to another
That
place.
too.
I've done that a few
Because
times. Yeah.
It's actually what I was
I may
gonna do
I may know a
today.
few places. I may know a few places down in like the Jersey, Philadelphia area that are always looking for new tag teams to go around
Yeah.
and work.
It's actually what I was gonna do today. I was gonna head down to Colorado Springs to Livewire because they have a show tonight, and then Wednesday or Thursday, Kat was like, "Oh yeah, Red Dog's gonna come on," and I was like, "Ah, cool." I completely forgot about it, and then my
It's not
wife
my fault.
reminded me last night. She was like, "Weren't you going to Colorado Springs tomorrow?" And I was like, "Fuck."
Well,
Yeah, I
it's-
was
Can't
gonna do the same
skip the
thing.
Red Dog interview.
I was like, shit, well, we got a fucking guest on tomorrow. I was
Yeah.
like, I can't tell the guys now that I ain't
Yeah.
showing up.
I was gonna do the same thing. I was gonna go to NCW, but with the stuff I've had going on lately, I can't even really work. So
I had nothing planned. I was just gonna stay home anyway. So that's not entirely true. I was actually I was supposed to go to a show tomorrow, but the show got canceled, and so I was like, well, I won't be a part of that show. And then I don't know. I may still go to a wrestling show tomorrow night, but yeah, tonight was just me.
But like I said, I'm in a weird like spot right now because I've only got one company that like has eyes on me, and it's partially my fault because I haven't been able to make other like just go and help out at other shows. So it's a big wrestling weekend. Like there's a show today and there's a show tomorrow. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Colorado Springs today. I'm gonna go to this show tomorrow, and then I was like, fuck, I can't because I've got the podcast. And then now I've got my stepkids this weekend, so it's like we don't have the weekend off from the kids because they're not at their dad. So I'm like, well, fuck, guess I'm not doing anything this weekend. But anyway, let's move. I feel like this question we can run through really fast because I feel like you already covered it. The next question is favorite of all time and biggest inspiration. And I feel like you kind of covered it with Rey Mysterio, but is he also your biggest inspiration, or are there others that you can contribute to that?
No, like I said, Rey Mysterio is my GOAT. Actually, it was funny because like on our podcast, we just did the top 50 wrestlers since 2000, and I very proudly would say I successfully argued Rey Mysterio into the top 10. So I was very proud of that. But Rey was my GOAT. But post that, Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, actually a lot of dudes from the cruiserweight division of WCW. So Dean Malenko, another person who was very loved watching his work. And then like of course John Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold, all those guys were always something fun to be pulling from, and just like I don't know, just having fun talking to like people in the ring or on camera. So
yeah, definitely. People don't kind of forget how important like the cruiserweight division was. They had, and especially at that time, a lot to show for, because they were told like you're not going anywhere because you're of your size and whatever. So they really had to work extremely hard to get noticed. Like you said, Eddie Guerrero. Jericho was even part of that. Chris Benoit, Rey Mysterio, all those guys had to work twice as hard just to, have some, some eyes and some viewing for them because of their looks. So definitely, yeah, those guys, especially like Rey, like a lot of people don't talk about or give that much credit for, is the Rey versus Eddie match. And especially like when Rey was talking about how that match wasn't even planned. It was, we're going to go out there and we're going to feel the crowd, and how much of a banger that match was. So I definitely recommend you guys check that out too.
Talking
that
about,
match.
Halloween Havoc 1997.
Yep.
Yeah.
that one,
Yeah.
yep.
That's
Yeah.
my favorite match of all time. I keep 100. I watch it probably once every other month, so I pretty much know like spots, what's gonna get hit, where they're talking, crowd reaction to anything. Like, yeah, that's where I'm at normally with that match. I've broken it down so many times, and I always think I find something new when I'm watching it. Like, I'll take notes on a match, and then I'll wait 2 months, I'll watch it again, and I feel like I just find something new every single time that I watch it. And I probably watch that match, I don't know, 100 and probably hundreds, 200 times. Like, it's been crazy. I love watching that match just for the psychology side of things. And then one of the things that people don't talk about is that Rey Mysterio was supposed to lose that match. They literally told him, they're like, yo, you're going to lose your mask. And then at the last minute, they're like, you know what? We don't want you to lose match. We want you to keep the title. We think we might have something with this mask thing. And sure enough, there it goes. It rips off.
Yep.
Also, I want to include, you mentioned a lot of people from the Cruiserweight division. I just want to throw 3 names out there that I love also watching work in that division. Actually, 4 now I'm thinking about it. Juventud Guerrera is hands down. People don't talk about Juvi. The Juice, they don't talk about enough. Psychosis, La Parca, and then one of my favorites of all time, Ultimo Dragon is.
Yes.
Ultimo.
Yes. Yep. Definitely some pretty top names right there.
So this one I always feel the need to explain. Maybe you'll understand it more, but this is one that I've just recently added to the questionnaire, and actually it's sparked quite a bit of conversation, so I think I'm going to keep it. What is your favorite style of wrestling? Like, I feel like wrestling can be broken down into a lot of styles. Comedy, there's comedy, lucha, British chain, catch a sketch can, Japanese strong style, American style, all the different, death match, all these different things. What is Red Dog's, style of wrestling?
I like to tell people that he's more of a brawler. He doesn't really fit into a category because I don't know. I feel like my favorite type of wrestling, like shoot wise, would be luchador. I'm as we've been saying, just massive work of them. But I think part of Red Dog's, I don't know how to say it, not demure because that's way too new. Part of his allure is that he loves to do these comedy spots, but then like they always like randomly work out, and then sometimes when they don't, it just makes it even better. So I don't know. For Red Dog style, I think it's just kind of like a brawler, like mix of just hybrid of whatever he can throw together and just make it fit. It's his own Jeet Kune Do, if you will. I mean, Big Cat and I, we had that match, and we had it planned where, like, yeah, we had it planned where, like, I was gonna jump off of him like from a power bomb, and like it didn't work out, and then my pants actually caught his face. And,
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that.
But it looked totally normal.
It still looked cool though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the same show. We had the 4-way tag team match that went really left field really quick.
Oh yeah. You fell off the fucking stage.
That was funny, but no, I'm talking the actual match.
Yeah,
all of a sudden we're like,
the whole match that me and Dylan had to pull 3 other tag teams to do what we had talked about for 2 hours. What we were doing,
and I was still pissed about that I wasn't gonna, that they weren't just gonna throw me into another tag.
Had to bitch slap people because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
I was still pissed.
I'm experiencing a little bit of lag, so I'm just gonna toss this out there. What is the worst bump you have ever seen and have ever taken? And while you answer this, I'm gonna go try and fix my lag problem.
Oh, oh man, the worst bump I've ever seen. I don't know, because like I just read the banner and I saw the Psycho Sid, passing, and obviously, rest in peace. But yeah, that's one that I've seen. That was really gnarly. Obviously,
that kind of a bump though, because he didn't bump that. He landed on his foot. So.
Yeah, he just broke his leg. But I think about that. I don't know. I think worst bump I probably, if I'm not including that one, obviously, one that should get talked about a lot, is Enzo's like rope bump.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. So
it's Enzo and Cass versus the vaudevillains.
Oh yes.
What's his name? Grabs him and whips. Yeah, he basically
Simon Gotch.
Gotch.
Yeah.
Instead of whipping Enzo, he actually shoves him, and you see Enzo trying to slide under the rope, but he was too close, and when he hit slid, his face went right in the middle rope, and he went smack back on the ring apron, and he is out completely.
Yes, I got it right here. I remember it.
That was gross.
Yeah, there was a nasty bump.
Oh.
I completely forgot about that until you said something about
I watched that live, and I was with my I was with my ex-girlfriend, and she's like, "Is he okay?"
You seen the Gotch shoot interview on Amore?
Yes.
I try not to over exaggerate this, but I watched that shoot interview religiously. I go back and rewatch that interview so many fucking times. It's just so funny.
Speaking of Gotch, he actually reviewed one of my matches once. So I was like really early on too. And he's like, that was garbage, that was garbage, that was garbage, that was garbage. Nice catch. That was garbage, that was garbage.
Took nothing he said into account.
But my worst bump actually that I've taken, and I injured myself on it. Actually, I didn't really injure myself, I guess, but it was just this sucks bump. It was one of the first bumps like I was learning to do, which it was February, and the place I trained outside. So it was like ice cold in Maryland. And I convinced my trainer to let me do Akira Tozawa's giant senton onto a thin crash pad.
Bro.
And when I hit, that ring did not give. It just, I don't know if people know, but when things get cold, it tightens up. And so the ring tightens up. And it just felt like I landed on concrete.
I was gonna say you might as well have just done it right on the ground.
It would have been a lot softer.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of concrete rings, have you ever? I don't know if you have. Have you wrestled for TIW at all over in Western Mass? Their ring, I went over and I wrestled a show for them, and every time I go to a show, and you probably do the same thing. Once the ring's set up, get in there, run the ropes a little bit, take a bump, just see how it is. I bumped in their ring, and it was so solid. I was like, ugh. It was bumping on concrete. I looked at the guys during the match. I'm like, you can bump me outside on the floor. It's softer.
See, that's what people say about Grind's Ring too. Like I've had the pleasure of working security a few times at Grind's Ring. I love Grind's Ring, and like I think it was JD that was like, I fucking hate like bumping in this ring, and I was like, dude, it's great. Like this bump is fucking wonderful. Like I don't fucking get it.
I feel like you're gonna really love it or you're really gonna hate it.
Yeah,
like, that's how it works.
That's the one good thing about being a big old fat guy is that you take less bumps. So
one good thing about being a big old fat guy.
Yeah,
when I take a bump, the ring still fucking breaks, so I don't feel it.
Oh, speaking of bumps, that still, like we were talking about our match, that fucking spine buster you gave me still like one of the most like gross looking, but oh, it felt so good. It was nice up and down. Oh, you got me up high too. I love that match and I hate that match. And the reason why I hate it is because I was trying so hard for people to fucking boo me, and all they wanted me to do was beat you more.
Yeah. Well, it was to be fair, I may have been like kind of egging it on because like there was a moment where you threw me across the ring, and then as I hit, I like roll into the buckle, and I think you've seen it on the video too, but you don't see me talking to the crowd. And I was like, I think he just cracked my vertebrae. Like it's final. Like I was just talking like that the whole time to the crowd, and like the crowd was like eating it up. So I was like, that's why I think they kept like hanging. Like I think there was a point you were choking me on the rope, and I was like trying to tag in like a random fan, and like I was just trying to do anything I could to get the crowd's reactions. And I mean, they popped though hugely for when that spine buster hit.
Oh yeah.
What's funny though, and this is something I tried to do differently, because you everybody sees the spine buster. Everybody knows you're either going to do like Farouk's spine buster or you're doing the Arn Anderson spine buster, and both are great, and I like both too. But I wanted to do something that was just different, right? And so that's why, if you've ever noticed, like one hand is like on someone's lower back while the other one is like on their leg, and then I sweep their leg out with my leg, and that's how I hit my spine buster is from a sweep. It does two things, right? So one, we talk about safety of wrestlers, but one thing I've noticed is that wrestlers always want to put their leg down to like brace themselves. And so, and if you're sweeping both legs, you can obviously alleviate that. But I think for me, it just looks more powerful whenever you see me just like rock somebody into it. And I don't know, it's just something I've been doing, and the crowd pops for it every single time they get to see it happen. So I don't know, it's different for me, and I think it's cool. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna keep doing this, and no one else complains about it.
Let's see. What is your favorite wrestling move, and then favorite wrestling finisher?
I ain't gonna front. I just put it over like crazy. A spine buster is my favorite wrestling move. Anytime I get to wrestle a big guy and they tell me, hey man, you can hit me with one bump, what is it? I was like, spine buster. It's just instant. Like, yeah, let me just hit you with a spine buster. I don't care what it is. So the spine buster I think is cool. And like I said, I Arn and those guys are always fun to watch. Yeah. Look at his face. Look at that face I have though. Like just straight stalker.
Well, better than the ref at the other show we had.
That ref was a lot better. A lot better.
1, 2.
There's something else you see in this match too. I forgot. I'll have to look at it again. That was pretty dope.
We had the German spot too. That was
cool.
That's
right, the German spot. Yeah,
right off the buckle.
You got German everywhere that day.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, shit, I didn't know y'all did a German spot.
Yeah, we did a German spot too.
Man, and I guess my favorite finisher. I don't know, man. There's so many cool ones out there. If I'm looking for like high flyer moves, I loved it when Mustafa Ali was doing the 054, right? Like the inverted 450.
Yeah.
I just thought it looked cool. It was way different from everybody else. Everybody was doing a 450. I liked his. I liked his from doing inverted. I thought it was cool. If I'm looking for like a regular, just any kind of standard, I don't know. I guess like a good psycho knee from like Bryan Danielson looks cool. I know a lot of people are like, yo, I love the super kick, or I love this one. Yeah.
Who the fuck are you pointing at? Your cat?
No, she's over there. Oh, she was over there.
But one recently that I started using a lot, and I use it in my matches now too, is the big ending. I just think that's a cool way to finish a match. So I like hitting that.
Is that the one where you get him up on your shoulder, you drop down?
Yeah, it's Big E's.
Okay, Big E's. Yeah,
I think that was actually originally going to be the finish of the match before they said I was going to go over.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Another quick one. What is your favorite entrance music
of all time?
We don't talk about that one. Roadblock.
What's crazy is I have 2 of them, right? Actually, that's not true. I have 3. I have 3 of my favorites, right? The Wolfpack theme song, hands down, will always be like one of my favorites of all time. The Filthy Animals theme song, when it was not so much Filthy Animals, I guess it wasn't. It was Filthy Animals because like Ray and those guys were all involved with Conan. Thought that was great. And then I don't know, hands down, probably one of my favorites of all time would be the Legion of Doom. That was just a badass song, and it was just a badass tag team.
So you get the guy here that likes the other side of that equation. I'm a huge Demolition guy, so
nice. I just think that opening part, man, was like,
that is cool.
What a rush! And it's like,
do not get me wrong. I have absolutely all the respect in the world for LOD, and I think they're one of the best tag teams of all time. I just like Demolition a little bit better.
Yeah, no offense. Like I love it too. Those 3 are my favorites, like hands down.
Okay, this is another one. This is another one that I think it wasn't it you, Dylan, that said this is your favorite question. Last question that I have on the list. What is your favorite title belt of all time?
Oh, snaps. I think the Eagle.
Oh, actually, you know what? I lied. This is second to last question.
Oh, yeah. Just old school WWF double winged like Eagle, like that.
Yeah.
My favorite belt.
Pretty popular. That's a pretty popular answer.
Between
it looks like a championship.
Yeah,
it's a pretty popular answer. Yeah,
that one in the WCW's like heavyweight title. Like I always thought that was cool too.
Oh, the big gold.
Yeah, big gold.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's at one point. So it was the how do I describe this? So at one point, WCW actually had two like heavyweight championships, like almost world titles. They had the WCW World Title. They had the WCW International Title. The International Title is the big gold because it was the NWA title.
Yeah,
and then they combined them together. So
yeah. There it is, right there in the center. Look, I can see it right here. One of my favorites.
And there's Farouk or Ron Simmons with the actual WCW World Title.
Hell yeah,
it was the thing. So, which is a nice looking belt too, honestly. Yeah, if you click the one right above it, yeah, that's it right there. That's the WCW World Title.
Yeah, pretty.
I love the.
My thing with Big Gold, I dislike solid color titles. Like that's my problem with Big Gold is it's too gold. Like there's no.
But how old are you?
In anything? 21.
Yeah, that would explain a lot. I mean, you colors, everything has to have colors. Listen, I grew up in a time. I grew up in a time where like
he dissed you. He just you an age. It's like kind of sound like he's calling you autistic. It's like you only like his colors.
It's gotta have. I mean, let's be real. Okay, let's keep it 100. Like when WWE came through its thing, right, in 2000, right, the gold belt, the world title really wasn't looking like the old school WWF world title anymore. And then John Cena came through, and then that US title changed to the big spinner colorful belt that was really marketed towards kids. And then when he won the world championship, right, they changed it again. And they made the spinner belt.
Hate.
But I mean, it was those bright colors, and everybody had one.
Hate the spinner belt. Like
if
there was a question on this list of what's your least favorite title, the spinner belt would be my answer. I fucking hate the spinner titles. They're so stupid.
I got one I hate more than that.
24/7.
No, the current New Japan title. I hate that thing.
Really?
I hate it. The version 4 was perfect. Why did you screw with it?
Yeah. I was gonna say for me, I think the title I disliked the most was
that's right,
the Divas title.
Oh, the butterfly belt.
I actually didn't mind the Divas title. I thought I liked that one. But yeah, that's the New Japan.
Yeah, I do not like it. It looks like something an anime character would be wearing.
It kind of does look like All Might's head.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
I pay less attention. I don't know. I pay less attention to the New Japan heavyweight division than I do to the Intercontinental division, just because the old school New Japan Intercontinental title is one of my favorite, like all-time favorite titles. I love the fucking Intercontinental title.
I bet the most disliked belt right now on the indie scenes is probably the MPW heavyweight title because that thing weighs 50 fucking pounds.
It looks like it weighs that
it's
much.
Huge.
Every time I see it, I'm always like, God damn.
Do you get the picture of Pipes with it?
Yeah.
Show the picture of Pipes with it. Yeah, dude. The thing is, like, literally, like
it's literally like this fucking big. It's like it's huge.
Yeah. Cat's gonna find it.
Yeah, I got
it. While we're discussing, this is the final question. This is the one that Dylan said was his favorite, or Cat said was his favorite. What is your dream match? If you could take Red Dog now versus anybody in their prime, who are you facing off against? And then if you could take two people anywhere in their prime and stick them against each other, like literal wrestling dream match, who you got?
I want to kind of answer this in a comedic tone, but I'll give you my serious one, and then I'll give you my my post.
Yeah, that's the belt we're talking about.
It's fucking huge.
That's a massive belt.
And Pipes is not a small dude.
No.
Champion.
No, he's
champion. It sounds like. I think if I got a chance to wrestle someone in their prime, we've been talking about the whole time that I've been here, right? Rey Mysterio definitely would be the guy that want to work, right? I know there's a lot of great people out there, and you call me a homer all you want, I don't really care. It doesn't change my opinion about who I want to work. And people would be like, well, about Nick Bockwinkel or Ric Flair in his prime or this person, that person. Nah, bro, let me get Ray, right? Because I want someone to be able to just show me how to work safely in a luchador style. And I think that guy he's light years ahead of what everybody was. I mean, he legitimately was a reason why so many wrestlers now are wrestling the style that they're wrestling. So it just goes without saying. Like he's my number one dude. If I could take two people from in their primes at any time and put them against each other, let me get. I'll change it up. Let me get Roddy Piper versus Bryan Danielson.
Ooh.
Just the promos would be fun.
Just the promos would be great.
Well, that's why my go-to is always LA Knight and Stone Cold. When we have guests on that don't entirely understand the question, I'm always like, dude, give me LA Knight and Stone Cold both in their primes in like a 4-month program of just nothing but promo battles and beating the shit out of each other.
I gotta go. If you want promo battles, I'm gonna keep Piper, MJF.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a really good one.
Oh.
Yeah.
I want to get. Let me get. You know what? Let me get. If I was to do it like that, let me get. Let me get Pipe. Let me actually no. Let me take this. Let me take Jake the Snake Roberts, and then give me. If I'm just looking for straight promos, right? Promo battles for it, and then like a great wrestling match, Jake the Snake, and then let me get Roman Reigns with it too.
That'd be fun.
Like current Roman Reigns. This Roman Reigns,
Yeah.
That'd be good.
hands down.
Where he's not being scripted, they're just like go talk.
Just go out there, have fun.
I'd
Be
still
Uzi.
like to see a Kenny Omega versus CM Punk match. I think that would still be kind of dope.
Yeah.
I like that. I think the promos would be fire as well too.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's something that I like with that question. I always try and specify, and that's part of the reason why I say LA Knight and Stone Cold, because I always like to get people thinking not only what would be a great match, but what would be like a great program of two in their prime, promo and match and like backstage like whatever you want to add to that. But I always like to hear people's answers because that drastically changes just like, what's your dream match?
Yeah. I think too on the other side, like I'll give you one too on the female side, right? Let me get AJ Lee in her prime and Medusa.
Ooh.
Oh, that would be really good. I think that would be really good. That would probably be a headline right there.
Yeah, those two. It's a clash of wrestling styles, and just the promos between those two would be just unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of crazy stuff like that, isn't it crazy we almost got to see Shawn Michaels versus AJ Styles at one point, and Shawn turned it down. I really wish he didn't.
Well, I think the thing too, what's crazy is that it's not like Shawn has to do a lot, right? Because we go back 3 or 4 years ago, like when they were just like talking about that, like to go back a few years ago, like AJ's doing the majority of the work. Shawn's there, he's throwing punches here and there, he's doing his whip spots, he's looking to hit the super kick, right? And the elbow drop, like he's not doing a lot. And AJ is pretty much like running the show. And I think just those two together, just in a match, God, man, like the emotions that you can just like pop for, like it's right
it
there.
would definitely erase the last match that he had.
Yes, 100%.
Bad. Oh my god. The
100%.
DX. What was it? DX versus the Hell Brothers? Was that what it is?
Brothers.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
so fucking bad.
And what
my
makes
god.
it worse was that, remember, because like right before or right after Undertaker had that match with Goldberg?
I think it was right after.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah.
So it just didn't make make anything look good.
Yeah.
Like, damn, bro. Like this is
All
rough.
I remember from the match is Kane's hair falling off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he put it back on.
He's like, oh my god.
And kudos to Kevin Owens, who is such a fantastic talent to be able to produce a fantastic match with Austin. Like I've watched that back.
I watched that match.
Yeah, I watched it back a few
good
times, and that match is so fucking good.
Yep.
And it's funny about that match because that was such a dream match for so many people that none of us ever thought we were getting.
Right.
Like we're never gonna get Stone Cold being Stone Cold and against Owens. And then they actually made it happen. And Owens like protected Austin and made sure that like it didn't look shitty. And no matter what Jim Cornette said about it, like it didn't look shitty and made it.
I think Jim Cornette liked it, didn't he?
No, Cornette liked it actually.
Yeah.
It felt not completely Attitude Era Stone Cold, but enough of Attitude Era like Stone Cold was back. Stone Cold.
He took a bump to the floor.
It was so good.
He took a floor bump. Everyone's like, "What the fuck?" And like, if you watch the documentary of that too, they didn't know if even Kevin didn't know until they were out there. It's like, are we going to have a match, or are we just doing this, cutting this promo? And when they got right to it, and he's like, "Yep, let's fucking do it." And he's like, "Sweet." So then they had that banger of a match.
They have such similar styles. That's why it became such a dream match. And they're both so professional that it was just like they didn't really need to know if they were having a match or not until they were out there. And then once it was like, "Yep, we're fucking doing this," it was like, "All right, cool. Let's fucking, let's fucking do it."
Well, Austin, it was all depending on how Austin was feeling about it, is what it came down to. It was like if he was willing to do a whole match or not. And they said that he didn't know until literally he was about to go on. It's like, "Yep, we're gonna fucking do this match."
I love it. It's one of those things too where like you get to see these moments, and then I guess like it's the benefit of having something like WWE, like 2K, whatever you want to play on, right? But you get to create all these wrestlers, and you get to have all these matches. But seeing these moments where like Stone Cold comes back for the first time in like 20 plus years, and he's wrestling a match, and the Boneyard match. I don't care what people say about it. Right?
Boneyard match was
lit. Oh, who the fuck shitting on the Boneyard match, dude?
Well, like the Boneyard match, and people, because it's just obviously COVID being this time, right? Like it's just a video, right? It's a video match, right? But so you get to see the Boneyard match. The Firefly Funhouse match is still one of my favorites.
God, so good.
Yeah, but it's like you create all this emotion.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and they sneak Punk in that before Punk was good. I was like, "Oh, somebody got fired there." Oh, when they're doing the cuts of the John Cena's career.
Yeah. Bray Wyatt being one of my favorites. The Firefly Funhouse, it's just such a good match.
But good
for me, being such a story-driven guy when it comes to our business. I rewatched that match, and kind of like you were just saying with the Halloween Havoc match, I rewatched that match, and I swear I pull something new out of it every fucking time, because I love to like break down the meta shit that Wyatt used to put in his stuff, and even like the swamp match that he had with Braun. Yeah, further on down the line, no matter what anybody says about that one, I fucking love that match too. And that's another one that I was literally just rewatching the other day, where I was still I still break it down, trying to grasp not so much the wrestling, but the story and the way the story is mapped out and the meta stuff to it. Because that's the kind of shit that drives me. Like the match is fine, but the story that gets told is what drives me for the business. And that's like, those are two matches that I'm always like, oh my God, I'm going to rewatch this and I'm going to pull like fucking 6 new things out of it. Cause it doesn't matter how many times I rewatch it. I'm always grabbing something new.
I shared this story with you, right? Talk about moments and things that grab you, right? So you asked me the question earlier about like inspirations and moments that got me into pro wrestling, right? I'm going to tell you exactly the date, right? So it's February 14th of 2011, right? Justin Roberts is in the ring, and he I tell this story, dude, and I still get chills every time I talk about it. The Just Roberts in the ring, he's like, and your host for WrestleMania is all the lights go off, right? And you see like one little thunderbolt kind of run through, and it was just like, if you smell what The Rock is cooking, and the crowd erupts, right? And I remember, look, bro, like if you guys could only see like the hair on my arm is just standing up so high, because I'm like, I remember freaking out, right, that The Rock is coming back, right? Oh, it was the 14th. I'm sorry, February 14th. I'm freaking out that The Rock is now coming back. And first time, 7 years. I'm super excited. But there's one more moment that happened right after it, right? And I remember telling myself, if I ever get a chance to get into pro wrestling, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to get into this moment and do what I got to do. February 14th or February 21st, the following week, right? Undertaker is playing There Ain't No Grave That Hold My Body Down, right? By Johnny Cash. He's walking out to the ring. And he gets out to the ring, and he just stands in the ring, and then you just hear, it's time to play the game. And I remember cooking, right? I just dropped everything. I ran out to the living room to watch Trip. I think I burnt my food that night because I was watching
I was gonna say
literally
smoke alarm
Hunter.
going off in the background.
Yeah. The timer in my house was going off, the smoke alarm. The kid was telling me the food was ready. But yeah, I seen that movement of just Triple H and Undertaker together in the ring. So here's like 3 of my favorite wrestlers just in the ring together in back-to-back weeks, and I just went off. I was like, if I ever get out of it's like when I get out of the military, if I ever get the chance to do this, I'm gonna become a professional wrestler. I'm gonna go and do it. In fact, I got out of the military, and the first job I applied for after I had an unfortunate event with a company, and it ended up releasing me from a contract. But the first job I applied for was a writer position for WWE.
I may have applied for that once or twice myself, so
Yeah,
I can't say much.
I'm gonna go for it, bro. I'm gonna live my dream. I'm gonna be a pro. I'm gonna be a wrestler. That's what I want to do.
I was gonna say when it comes to giant pops, man, there's 2 for me that come to mind. They're a little bit more old school. One is it's one of my favorite matches of all time, but it's Demolition versus the Colossal Connection at WrestleMania 6.
Yeah.
And when Demolition pinned Haku, and the crowd just explodes. It's so epic. And fun enough, that was Andre the Giant's last televised match. And the other one that I always get a kick out of, and I think it's like just this huge thing, is SummerSlam. Wait, SummerSlam or WrestleMania? I cannot remember which one it is, but it's Taz's debut in WWE. When the lights go out, the heartbeat starts, and the crowd knows it's Taz because it's kind of been leaked. And then you can just hear them all come up, and you hear EC-Dub and Taz. That was great. So
Coming out the towel on too.
Like Red Dog pointed out, I'm a new, I'm young, but I have watched a lot of old, I watch a lot of old school and a lot of Japanese, like old Japanese wrestling. That's like my thing. But like I just said, like Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family and Brody Lee, like they were my things because they were the people, that were on the TV that I felt so attracted to when I started watching wrestling again. And I don't care. Bray Wyatt's return, when he came back and that door flew open and he walked out with a lantern for the first time in well over a year or whatever it was, I don't give a fuck. That is the loudest wrestling pop I have ever fucking heard in my life. And I love it. So that is the pop that gives me chills every time I watch it. And it gave me chills before Wyatt passed. But now that he's gone and you go back and you rewatch how that fucking stadium exploded when he came out through that door and it was officially like confirmed that it was Wyatt back, it gives me like chills on top of chills now.
Well, to tell you something, I don't know if you know, but the camera that was pointing directly at him, right? The microphones are specifically purposed to just pick up what's in front of them, right? The crowd was so loud. Bray Wyatt actually yelled out, "We're here." And it sounded like he whispered it. And they couldn't pick up the sound that he had said that right before he said it to the camera. I always think about that moment. Like, that's how you're like way over with the fans, is that when and it's not just that. I mean, like CM Punk is the same way, right? For 7 years, CM Punk didn't even touch a WWE ring. They cheered him on. But when Bray opened up that door and he came through that curtain, that crowd erupted. I was like, this was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And it's funny because like Bray Wyatt, and I remember watching Husky Harris, right, in NXT, and I was like, bro, I think there's something about him. I don't know what it is. I just could never put my finger on it. And then when he debuted with the Wyatts, I instantly got captivated. I was wrapped up. And then when he left and came back with the Firefly Funhouse thing, I remember my best friend from high school was like, "This sucks. This is the worst thing I've ever seen." I was like, bro, I'm gonna tell you right now, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was so into it. And then like, sure enough, when The Fiend debuted, my buddy was like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen." I was like, "Shut up. It doesn't count. It doesn't work for you." I said that.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I was here first.
I think what it was about Bray too was like, one of my favorite things about Bray is it's just the way that he committed to the character and the way that he delivered his speech, right? The way he talked. I love doing impressions of Bray Wyatt because I just think that it was so cool. I was so captivated by him. And also another person I told this, I got the chance to tell him to his face that I just was wrapped up in his character, was Vincent from The Righteous. I love the Righteous, and I love Bray Wyatt, right? Because it's like those times, my brother, where you sit around and you think to yourself that you are impervious in your ring. But I just got to tell you that this fire that burns around you will be your demise and not your savior. And I'm like, oh, I love it so much. I just love the way he talks.
I actually just thought of another question that I added on and replaced with one of my other questions that I stopped asking. So before we let you go, I just want to ask this question real quick. On the topic of dream matches, I feel like so of course we talked about how you would love for Red Dog to be able to face against Rey Mysterio in his prime. But I feel like all of us have dream matches that now like that are possible. So like if you could take, you know, if you could fantasy book any promotion, whatever it is, wherever it is, but you could have, you know, that one fucking guy standing across from you. You know, I posted on Facebook, a month
Shane
ago.
Taylor. Let me get a one-on-one with Shane Taylor. That's who I want. I've debated this back and forth. I've said this a bunch of times. And I've got to work my dream match, funny enough, which was my boy Chaz Evans. Also of Pure Ignorance, if you guys haven't got to meet him yet. Also the co-host of the debate shows that we do on our podcast. So yeah, I got to work him, and it was one of my favorite matches. We got to run twice now. But no, I've said this numerous times. Like Shane Taylor, hands down, is one of those dudes that I just feel like I would want to work. I feel like the other matches, and like if I went, and that I think that's a realistic match. I hope it can be one day, but if not, his protege Tyree Taylor is definitely on the list.
Tyree,
Yeah.
I've worked Tyree Taylor. In fact,
Tyree.
when he hits me with his discus clothesline at the end, you know, in the animes when it looks like your soul's leaving your body, it's a little cloud floating above you. And
Mhm.
it's basically what happened to me.
Tyree,
Yeah,
Tyree.
he
I've met
is-
Tyree a few times.
Tyree's great, but he's a Mack truck.
And he can
He's
kick you in the
also-
face.
Yep, he can.
Crazy. The guy
Yeah,
that
he's-
size can kick you in the fucking face.
Yo, I look at, so if I want to name, I'll name you
where is
a
that match?
bunch just right off the top of my head, right? Outside of, obviously I said Shane Taylor, Tyree is
It's
definitely
a
number
road.
one. Let me, you know what? Let me get Big Bacon Brad Hollister as well, because I think
Yeah.
he knows
Another
that
really
I've
good
always,
guy.
Actually, Dog, Kat and I actually worked Pure Ignorance. No,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if we did or not, so I had to look at our matches. That was that triple threat match.
Yep. And then and you guys, yeah, so you guys got to work was it Justin, and you guys got to work Chris Idol and Prince Machiavelli. Their dynamic is cool. The dynamic with Chaz and Prince is way
Yeah.
different than what
All
it
right.
is with. So I would implore you guys get the opportunity to work with those guys. You guys, those two, you definitely have a lot of fun with them.
As I often say, I'll work anyone if we can do it. So
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, those three right off the top of my head is the three that I'd want. And then post that, man, there's just, I have a slew of names. I talk about it all the time. I keep adding names to it. Dustin Waller's and then name I add in
Oh, yeah.
there, right? Because I know a lot of people from the New England area.
I had that same
Um,
thing when I posted it on Facebook. It was like I posted on Facebook, and you know I had the list of guys, and then like 10 minutes later I was like, shit, I forgot this name, and then like another 5 minutes later I was like, shit, I forgot this name. So I just kept going back and reloading the Facebook page.
I would love to work Miracle Generation, but I always have this feeling that I like Kat and I just be doing this.
Yeah.
Dude, like when it comes to
Yeah.
tag team, it's funny. Like you answered it like snap. Like you answered it as fast as I would answer it if I was given that same question, because my answer is Anthony Henry. It's always been Anthony Henry. Like that's my snap to go to answer without even thinking about it. Anthony Henry. That's my dream match. But when it comes to like tag team, a match that was booked, I want to say on 3 separate occasions and never fucking happened. And it still has never fucking happened because Dylan was injured. The Seawolves never faced off against Dirt City.
True. Yeah.
So when it comes to tag team,
I was gonna say technically
City
we
Murder
still
Crew.
haven't.
and technically it still hasn't happened.
Yeah, it
because
still hasn't
not
happened.
even
Every
He's
time
injured.
we're gonna have,
the
yeah.
Wild hasn't even faced off. It is
No.
a fucking that is my cursed indie wrestling match because
I've worked-
it was booked 3 times and it never fucking happened for one reason or
I was
another.
gonna say, I've worked them, and Cat's worked them, but we've never worked them together.
Nope,
together,
the
yeah.
Wild has never worked them, and the Seawolves never got the chance to work them.
So,
Boy, it was fun, but besides being an unsafe worker and hurting him.
Besides,
shut
up.
fucking Jason Devine.
Oh my gosh,
Jason even went back and watched that. He's like, "Yeah, that's kind of my fault." So
I felt so bad.
But yeah, that's all the questions I've got for you, Red Dog. This was fun. I'm glad that we finally had you on. We will definitely put you on the list of bringing back guests because we have a list of reoccurring of people that we want to get back on the show after a little bit of time. But as always, we ended out with telling you, plug your stuff before you take off.
Stuff, buddy.
Let people know where to find you.
Hell yeah. So you can find me at _RedDog85 on all your favorite social media platforms. It literally is the same one. So whether you're on X, Instagram, Twitch, OnlyFans, it's all there, right? The _.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Fun story about that.
Okay.
Fun story about that. Yeah, so I was on a podcast and I just had, Red Dog is out there. He's wild, right? And he does a lot of stuff. And I had just by chance mentioned that Red Dog has an OnlyFans, which at the time he did not. And I didn't want someone to call me a liar. So I made an OnlyFans for Red Dog. But yeah, the _RedDog85 on all your favorite.
Is there anything posted to that OnlyFans?
Yeah, there's a
Clifford.
banner. There's a banner picture of me with my title, right? Kind of like this. Just laying up staring. Because I saw all the hot girls do it, right? So if I see all the girls doing it, I was like, well, clearly that pose works, so I'm gonna do it. So I was like,
Nix is looking it up. Watch.
Yeah, I'm looking at him. He's got his phone out right now.
I'm on X. Thank you very
Gotta
much.
subscribe real quick.
Yeah, let me just get this.
I'm
and then
on
just
X.
the
Thank you
profile
very
photo.
much.
Yeah, those are the only two photos you're gonna find. It is just for the sole purpose of having it and holding it and blocking it out. Yeah, so you can find me there. You can also find me on the 3 Count podcast. Every Sunday, we do our live debate show. Every Tuesday, we have our interview show, which is called Now Entering the Ring. And then we also drop a show called The Villains Lounge, where we just go around and we just shit talk about wrestling for no reason, just because we can. And it's
Stay tuned. I'm going to do that about AEW here in a few minutes.
I was going to say, so you just have a specific show dedicated to the exact Purr session, exactly what we do here over on the Purr sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can actually check out that show, 3 Count Pod, on all your favorite social medias. If you go on X, it's actually 3 Count _pod. You can actually check us out on YouTube, Rumble, all of that stuff. You can find a 3 Count podcast, a part of that. And then, just go through, share, like, subscribe. And if you don't, that's fine. We appreciate you spreading the word of everything that we're doing. Don't forget to tell your moms, your dad, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your enemies, and your best friends. And as I said, your enemies, because we love haters too. So subscribe to our channel, do all that stuff, and then we'll catch you on our next shows. But yeah, that's on my spot. That's all.
Any upcoming shows? Any dates?
So actually, September 7th, you can catch me in Groton, Connecticut with OWR. So I'll be attached to there. You'll catch me the 21st at Focus Pro Wrestling in Braintree, Massachusetts. And then I think September 28th, I will be actually in Woonsocket, Rhode Island with NWWE, right? So New World Wrestling Extreme. So I'll
so
be
many
over
little
there.
companies I don't know about. It's so funny.
Yo, it's wild when I do research on wrestlers and stuff like that, and I usually go through their Fight Cage, and if I can't find anything, I'll go through their social medias and find stuff. And there's so many promotions that I just look at. I'm like, bro, there's a lot of names in here, and I have no idea where you're at. But you're gonna know where they're gonna know. And
it's a lot of letters for nothing.
Yeah, a lot of 3-letter wrestling letters for whatever. It's like whatever it is.
Well, there you fucking go. Make sure you go follow,
Hold on. Before we go, there's a couple things. One, I see that you forgot to mention that I will be on your show sometime in the future. Yeah,
I forgot I didn't want to mention it.
Yeah, he didn't want to mention it.
Self plug. You forgot to mention that.
You forgot to mention one.
But
I will be on the show sometime in the near
you
future.
Let me on first, Red Dog. They will never let me live it down.
Two. This wasn't brought up, but I gotta say this. One of the funniest fucking times that I had with you and a bunch of the guys. I was just hanging out doing my own thing, getting ready for a match, and you came up to me and you're like, "Oh my God, Kat, I have the perfect tag team right here. We got a dog, we got a cat, we got a goat. We're gonna be called the Paw Patrol. And I just looked at you and I'm like, you motherfucker. Like
I remember that. Actually.
I just thought because like everybody was talking about like, yo, we should get you guys like we should get you guys all put together. Like, yeah, and then everybody kept coming up with some dumb name. Like they were like the Zoo Crew or like, like I forgot someone else, something like Wild Animals or something like that. And I was like, no, man, it's easy. It's Paw Patrols. And everybody was like, oh fuck, that has been way too much sense.
I'm sorry, I just had to share that because that's still like that comes in my mind like every so often. Like that motherfucker. Like
you know what's funny is like I do these things randomly, like in matches where like if you go back and watch, you'll see where I like will say something to somebody and like randomly pop them, right? I was working a dude, Mr. Grimm. He did this huge body splash on top of me, and like he just laid in the corner and he was just leaned up against me. And I just looked at him and I was like, I love you so much. And like he backs away, he pushed me away because he was like, yo, I'm not doing this. And then
that just reminds me of Alexander Lee. He'll do stuff like that to you in the ring. He'll get up and hit with like a forearm, be in the ring, and he'll just say the most random shit to you to make you crack.
Well, it's like when we had our grudge match, for the heavyweight title, it was me against Caleb Crush, and Caleb Crush had his little bitch Damian Malice following him, and they were in the ring, doing their shit, and I was like looking at Crush, being me, and Malice got in my face and started talking shit, and I was like, fuck you want? The fuck you want? He just looked at me, he's like, I'll kiss you right now, I'll kiss you right on the lips, I will kiss you, and he was like this close to my face, he's like, I'll kiss you on the lips, and I just looked at him, and I don't think he expected this, but I got him to pop, because I just looked at him and I was like, do it, you won't fucking do it, and he turned away from me and walked away from I was like, yeah, and you could see him down there, he's like, motherfucker.
I had a friend, was in a Rumble just recently, and my friend came in with 2 flying knees, right? And it's me and my buddy TJ, we're laying against each other, and we both take these double knees. And I just put my head on his shoulder, and I was like, secret love. And he's like, oh fuck, I can't smile while I'm here. Like he's trying not to laugh, he's just like ducking away. I love doing little things like that. I just think it's fun. It's fun to do, and especially when you like get a connection like with somebody, you can do those things where it's like fun to like say something and do. Yeah, so I love doing moments like that where like I hit a person, I was looking at a dude and I was like, hey, I'm gonna hit this guy with my butt, and I just like ran into him like hip attack. Like yeah, I just think of like random little things. I see things happen all the time, like on videos, like in movies. I'm like, yo, that would be funny to do as a random spot somewhere, and I just try to pop people with it.
the reason why I'm laughing so hard is one of the funny ones was we were in the Rumble and JP coming out, and I'm with Alexander Lee.
Oh my god! And
he's throwing pumpkins, and he throws one at Alexander Lee. He deflects, and he just looks at me and goes, "Did you see me deflect that shit?" It's like, wasn't that fucking cool?
Dude, this last Rumble, actually, I'm sorry, this is just funny, and Levi, you'll get a kick out of this. So it's free for all. It's a Rumble, right? Donkey Boy Bandit's down in the corner. Cat goes, hits him with a big old cannonball. I hear I hear JP out of the corner of my ear go, wait a minute, that's my thing. I want to do it too. Cannonball. And I was like, oh, I think Donkey's dead.
Oh my god. I hit him that and he went, I'm like, oh.
He didn't breathe out.
No, he did.
O'Reilly?
Yeah.
I just worked him like 2-3 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah. And I was in Maine. I popped up into Maine and WWE.
Yeah.
Like he was there, and they
it
was funny because they were like, I showed up and I was there. It's there. Also, those wrestlers out there who are just new to this, always bring your gear because you never know when you're gonna get put on something.
Very true.
So I showed up, I had my gear with me, and I was with Brian Bayside. And Brian had a match that night. And so they were like, well, I know you're a worker. Do you have any photos, promo photos of yourself? And I showed him all my promo photos and just things about me. He's like, all right, cool. If we need you, we'll just figure it out. We're going to probably do like a pre-show. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And sure enough, like 10 minutes before the show starts, I just hear, well, who's Red Dog? And I'm sitting in the front row, but I hear it in the back. And then someone walks up to me. They're like, hey, are you Red Dog? I was like, yeah. They're like, they need you. I walk back there. They're like, hey, go put your gear on. We're gonna have you do a match in 5 minutes. I was like, all right, cool. So I went and grabbed my gear, put on my match. Literally, JP and I, we had called the match. Thank God, JP is amazing too. By the way, just putting him over. JP and I, we put the match together, and right when we finished up with I'll just take the pin and we just go from there. He's like, all right, cool, all right, boom, my music hit, and I walked out the curtain, and we do it to work.
Did you get the front splash, back splash, missile dropkick?
Yep.
Yeah.
We've all worked JP, so we know
it's
JP
at the
well.
point now where towards the Polish hammer, Polish,
yeah.
Yep. And then it was cool because I gotta do a spot where like I took his knee out, and then like because everybody picks a leg up and like slams it back down. They like plant a knee on the ground, and that's how you sell the knee. And I was like, bro, I'm gonna do this differently. I was like, yo, hang on for the ride. I grabbed his leg, I picked it up, I put my foot on top of it, and just act like I stomped him down.
Ooh,
and it was so devastating feeling, and like looking in the crowd, you hear the whole crowd. Oh, I think he's really hurt.
Fuck. I love rumble spots. Rumble spots is just fucking the place to do stupid shit and pop your friends. Like I was in a rumble a few weeks ago, and we had a spot where like there was a chick who was giving the Rikishi, the stink face, to people. So she does it to one person, and then one of the guys goes, wait, it just sits in the corner. So she does it to him, and then one of the other ones spins her around and goes, wait, me next. So he sits in the corner and he just acts like he's stunned, and she gets ready for it. And I just walked up behind her and I tapped her on the shoulder, and she turned around and she's like, what? And I was like, and he's just sitting there with his eyes closed. So he's not paying dick attention to what's going on. And she's like, you want one? And I was like, no. And I just kind of shoved her to the side, and I fucking gave it to, and he didn't realize until about 2 seconds before I hit him, because he opened his eyes and saw it was me, my ass coming at him, and he was like, fuck you. And I just sat on him.
I remember one of the first rumbles I was in, there was like this dude named Tiberius, right? He's a great friend of mine too, over in Delaware. He was hitting everybody with the chokeslam spot, like just everybody running, getting chokeslam. So I decided, I was like, whatever, we're gonna reverse the angle on this. And mind you, Tiberius is like 6'8", right? He's just a tall dude. So I walk up and I just put my hand on his throat and I just stared at him. I was like, yeah. And then I made the whole face change. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he like, and I was like, ah.
Like,
That was such a funny spot.
Oh crap.
Just like the hurricane spot where it was like with the Stone Cold and
Hunter?
Stone Cold Triple H. Yeah.
I'm sorry, if we're gonna talk rumble spots, so we gotta talk the time that Levi double stomped Cat while we all held him down.
Oh my god.
Weren't you in that?
Yes,
him.
Red Dog was in
I was
one
gonna say, weren't you one
of
of the ones that held Cat down as I fucking stomped the life out of him? I was pretty sure.
Yep.
I
I was holding Cat's arm and I see Red Dog slide next to me. I'm like, I got him.
Again, it goes back to those moments where like you just say something random and everybody tries not to pop, but you're gonna pop. You're just like,
That's why I love being a face weekend
such
pop.
a special place because of how like natural, but also how funny it was, because it was all dojo, like it was the dojo kids. So it was the dojo kids and Blade. So we were all just, giving each other shit, doing whatever. But it got to the point where we all started teaming up when me and Dylan hit Thunderstruck, and then Jess joined in and we all started teaming up on Cat. I got an idea. I glanced around and I literally saw everybody else in the rumble like stop for a second because they were like, what the fuck is going on? And we all just teamed up on Cat, and I'm just sitting there watching everybody, and like I got up on the buckle and everybody slid in and grabbed Cat, and everybody that wasn't holding Cat was just kind of sitting there like just watching. And I was like, yeah, we popped every single one of these motherfuckers because nobody realizes that this wasn't planned.
No, the funny thing is about that too, because literally it was like, I got an idea, and I was just like, fuck you, I'm not doing this. Like fuck this.
You knew,
and everybody's like, no,
like,
you're
nope.
Everybody's like, no, we're gonna do the spot now, and I'm like, oh shit.
The German spot in that rumble is still my favorite, probably one of my favorite spots I've ever done, for the sole purpose it wouldn't have been as good if we had told everybody, but we didn't tell anybody that we were doing it. And Jess even told me backstage, she was like, I didn't think you were gonna actually pick him up. Like, I had a few people that were like, I didn't think he was going to take the ride for you because we didn't tell anybody that I was picking you up and throwing you.
I ain't no bitch. I'll do anything.
I think in that same Rumble, like I hit everybody with a bunch of spine busters. And then I remember right before I hit Jessie with one, right, I had picked her up, had her up, and then I dropped her a little bit and I gave her like a big hug. And then slammed her.
That's the same Rumble where I eliminated GC Knight with through the second rope.
Through the second rope, and he got
eliminated. I just look at the camera and go, okay.
Fucking elimination spots that get fucked up are always so stupid. Like, I went over the top rope in a Rumble once, hit the floor, and I hit the floor, but I went back on the apron because I was kind of being heelish. So I sat on the apron, but I definitely touched the floor, and all the fans saw me touch the floor. And I looked over at the ref like I was just gonna do, like be a heel, and the ref looked at me and was like, "Safe," and I was like, "What?"
Cool.
Like, I looked at the ref, and then I looked at the crowd, and the crowd all was like looking because they all saw me, and I was like, well, fuck, I can't just be like, well, no, fuck you, and go backstage because all these people just watched the ref tell me I was good. So I just slid back in, and I spun Lee Miller around, and I was like, fuck you, you son of a bitch, I didn't get eliminated, and I pulled him in, and I hit him, and I went, toss me. And he grabbed me and threw me as hard as he could. And I fucking hucked myself out of the ring. And I hit the ground. And I was like, there's no fucking way they're going to say I was safe.
Was that ref Joey Boss?
I don't fucking remember who it was.
Speaking of Levi Miller, that same fucking thing happened with him. He got eliminated by accident. Nobody was paying attention. And because he was a heel, he's like, he looked around. None of the refs were looking at him. Goes, okay, and he slid back in and started wrestling again.
All right, well, we're keeping Red Dog longer than
we're keeping it longer than we're supposed to.
So
we're having fun.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Red Dog. Make sure everybody watching, you go check out all the Red Dog stuff. Check out the interview. Of course, will be posted as its own clip, like Kat always graciously does with all of our interview guests. So make sure you can check out the 3 Count Pod as well. I of course was on it, and Kat of course is apparently going to be on it too. Red Dog
part of it
to not to Red Dog's knowledge because
he doesn't know that yet.
Does he know that?
No idea about it, but.
Apparently, tomorrow at 8. Are you ready?
No.
Tomorrow at 3 p.m. You're gonna be there.
Hey, just fun fact for everybody who's trying to figure it out. Yeah, so none of our interviews are ever live. Like, we always record them and put them out later. So
I think there's literally a moment in the interview where I was like, "This isn't live, right?" Because I was like plugging my shit or something, and I was like, "Yeah, you could do X, Y, and Z." And then I was like, "Wait a minute, this isn't live, right?" And you're like, "Nope." And I was like, fuck.
Good. I can use all the gamer words I want. You just have to edit them out.
Wow.
He just came back to reality.
Nix is like, I don't want to tag him anymore.
Exit that way.
Yeah, but thanks for joining us, Red Dog. Of course, I said, you will definitely be on our list of guests to get back on here at some point. So you are free to go. Have a great night.
Love y'all.
Bye.
Kawaii.